All right, what's up? We're live for the 49th installment of the Playing to Win series. I'm joined today by my good friend Jay Campbell. What's up, brother?
Richard, man, it's an honor. Always humbled and privileged to be with you. And man, I think I've been on two of these now, so it's so awesome.
I think it's more than that because I mean we've done at least two on therapeutic testosterone.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
As I told you off air, man, and I appreciate this, and I'm definitely not blowing smoke up your ass. You're like one of the most authentic people online. I mean, I have friends that reach out to me all the time, and they're like, "Dude, you're going to be with Richard Cooper." Like I had that like in the last 2 days. Like people reach out to me, and I'm like, "Yeah." Like Richard and I are friends. They're like, "Oh my god." So you're helping a lot of men, as you know, man. And again, I'm not blowing smoke up your ass. You are helping a lot of men in the world, and it's an honor to be with you, brother.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I always have a good conversation. I know the content's like, content's king, and the stuff that you study and research and investigate. Like you're the most knowledgeable guy I know that doesn't have a piece of paper framed in mahogany with little letters after your name saying that you've got medical degrees. Like you actually probably know more than a lot of medical doctors on quite a few of these topics from what I've
Thank you, brother.
gathered from you. Before we get started, I just want to do a little housekeeping and ask you guys to do me a solid. If you can just click this link that I'm going to drop in all chat. So this will show up on Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, all that stuff. If you can click that, head on over to YouTube, and to give the algorithms a little kick in the bottom, hit the like button when you get there. I've got about 100 people watching now and 32 likes. Get the likes up. It just helps me out a bit. Costs you nothing. We're going to be talking about some interesting stuff today with anti-aging for hair, skin, and immune function. We live in times now of lockdowns and I'm going to do quotations for pandemic, going on out there. And like this whole thing is a real deal. Like this whole pandemic's a real deal. People get sick and people have lost their lives to it. Most people get through it, no problem at all. But one of the things we got on the list here, because we're going to talk about immunity, hair, and anti-aging for skin. Let's deal with the sick care system that we live in today. Can you kind of summarize it? Because I mean, I've seen you talk about quite a few times. There's probably people watching today that don't know what that means, but we live in a medical care system today in the West that you've loosely defined as sick care. What do you mean by that?
Yeah. So again, man, honor to be with you here today. Sick care, the best way to define it, other people have defined it as illness medicine, but essentially our entire medical care program system, wherever you are in the world, is based on the idea that the, medical system, the doctors, and then of course the people that they're attached to, which would be big pharma and medicines, are treating symptoms. They're not actually addressing the root cause. So majority of people in the world today have, insurance through their job or through their benefits or whatever it is. And they go to the doctor when they get a sniffle or they get sick, or, maybe they are seriously injured and they have a copayment and, they go through the front desk. And, it's one of those things. And then they sit there and they wait. And then the doctor comes and basically says, what's going on? They get 5 minutes with the doctor if they're lucky. And then the doctor writes some scripts for this, this, and this, right? Now, we can put that into the role of like men. The average guy today who's 40 years old or even younger now goes to the doctor. He's like, Doc, I feel like shit. I'm dead tired at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I want to go home and take a nap. What is the matter with me? And the doc looks at him and says, I can write you a script for, because obviously this dude is probably depressed. I can write you a script for an SSRI. And the guy's probably complaining of sexual dysfunction, right? Because we know what this is. This is a testosterone deficiency. So the doc writes him a script for a erectile dysfunction medication, which again, as you know, Richard, is not addressing the root cause of his symptomology, which is likely a testosterone deficiency. Now, I'll take it one step further. Let's say the doctor is smart and says, I'm going to order labs for you. Let's check your testosterone. So then a week later, he gets his labs back. He comes back in with the doctor. Meanwhile, he's being billed for these appointments. And the doctor looks at his labs and his labs are, in the normal range of testosterone, but obviously very, very low. And he says, oh, you're fine. Your testosterone's healthy. You're good. You're in this defined, compressed laboratory range and you're okay. And so now the guy thinks he doesn't have a symptom of, or isn't testosterone deficient, which isn't true, and has two drugs that he's going to be using, again, the SSRI and the erectile dysfunction drug, which will eventually make his symptomology, again, of testosterone deficiency, not diagnosed, worse. So it's the tail dragging the dog here. It is a situation where most of these guys never, ever get healthy or the proper advice unless they're listening to people like you or me.
Yeah. And that's just one example of hundreds, maybe even thousands, right? Like they're like
Oh yeah.
the entire medical system, and I've experienced this too. Like the entire medical system is designed, and even big pharma is designing the entire system to keep you on their subscription system. Like even right now, and I mean, we'll loosely talk about the beer bug and what's going on with vaccination and stuff like that,
Sure.
but if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck,
Right.
I call it a duck, right? And what I'm looking at right now in this system is a vaccination protocol by Big Pharma to get your immune system on their payroll rather than
Yes.
you maintaining your own. I mean, is that something that you would agree with or disagree with?
Oh no, 100% agreement. And I wanted to break this news for you. I didn't even tell you that I was going to do this, so hopefully this doesn't get us deleted. But I actually have 10 people right now in Europe who I mentor slash follow me, however you want to look at it, and all of them have had their lab work done in the last 2 months, and they're all, because again they're in the European Union, they're fully bead, and every single one of them is like you and me. They work out, they eat healthy, they train. None of them are on therapeutic testosterone, which obviously we can talk about if we want, but every single one of them since getting this second, whatever, dude, their T values have plummeted. I mean, shock and all type levels, right? Like all these guys are like, dude, what's going on? What happened to me? I mean, not one of them ever thought of that, because they're not in that path, but I was like, well, let's, process of elimination. Let's figure it out. Are you using SARMs or some bullshit like that? And none of these guys are. And then they're like, I'm like, have you been bead? And they're like, yeah, I'm in the European Union. You have to be. You can't go anywhere if you're not, right? So again, 10 people, last 2 months, do I have scientific inquiry proving that that's the case? No, but I mean, do I have obviously, empirical data that tells me that something isn't right? Yes. So my point and why I'm telling you this is going to become a much bigger problem, Richard, in the next few years.
Yeah, we'll see how all that unfolds. I mean, time will tell with that one. But you've got some notes on peptides to use for. Actually, first, before we talk about peptides to use for health and immunity during this pandemic situation, can you explain what peptides are exactly?
Yeah, so peptides are essentially fractionated proteins. They're synthesized in a lab, but I mean, they're organic, they're naturally occurring, but a fractionated protein to utilize to, essentially create a regenerative effect of biological systems. So what I mean by that is you would use a peptide to enhance your natural organic biological processes, right? So there's a peptide out there that we can talk about that enhances immunity, right? What does that mean? I mean, well, again, it will strengthen the things that your body naturally does to be resistant, again, to various microbes, pathogens, germs, whatever is, found in your environment.
And they're not. I mean, they're not generally accepted. This is like still kind of fringe sort of medical treatment. It's mostly self-treatment, if anything. I first came across it. I was in a men's group, with a mutual friend, Ben Greenfield. I know you've talked to him quite a few times and you've worked with him too. I actually listened to the podcast that you did with him. That was a really good one. And I was having some knee problems and I, reached out to him like, hey man, what do you recommend? And he sent me this link to this thing that was called a peptide. This was early on, called BPC 157. I know you know what that is, but
sure.
It's great for your joints. And it's basically a water-based peptide that you inject into your knee joint area or any joint that you're suffering pain or discomfort with, and it helps to regenerate connective tissue and lubricate the joint and makes it function properly. And I stayed away from it because it just looks scary as hell, putting little needles in your joints and all that. And when we got together in California a few years ago when I was in LA, you're like, oh dude, it's easy. Just grab the skin right in here, boom. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to be a pussy. I'm not going to do it. And it worked. And I was like, okay, that was like 2-3 years ago, and I was sold, right? And since then, I've used stuff like BPC 157 for joint injuries. I've used TB 500. I've used epitalin, like once a year to. Sure. I mean, how would you define? Does it strengthen or lengthen?
The length. Yeah, extend the length of the telomeres.
Yeah. Yep. Which is supposed to lower your biological age.
Exactly.
And there's scientific evidence that confirms it too. So scientifically, yeah, it does work. And all these things are fairly effective. You can't trademark them from what I understand, which is probably why Big Pharma is not fond of them and they try to get you on their pharma products instead. And they're quite safe because they're chains of proteins from what I understand, right?
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
talk about peptides for use with health and immunity, and what
Okay.
people should look at and why they should look at it.
Yeah. So first off, I have to say, like everybody has initially a injection phobia, right? It's just a natural thing of like, oh my God, I'm sticking my skin, with a needle, whether depending on, regardless of the size. I mean, everyone who's ever injected themselves has that first experience of like, dude, I'm not injecting myself, right? Like no matter how tough of a dude you are, you're like,
Yeah.
But so it's funny that you say that. But I mean, I can remember back when I was like in my early 30s when I first started my therapeutic testosterone, and I sat there for 4 hours, like staring at the needle, like I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do this, until my original first wife just came up. She said, "Sure, you can." Jammed it in me.
Did they give you like a 1.5 inch harpoon, for the first time?
No, thankfully,
Because that's what I got.
yeah. Well, exactly. And there you go. They're sick care. They don't even understand that. But I was actually, again, at the very beginning, for people who follow me and know me, I was working with a Harvard educated endocrinologist, Dr. Raymond Scruggs. But anyway, that's another story for another day. So regarding peptides, yes, they are amazing. Nick Andrews, my business partner with Asir, is one of the world's leading peptide experts. I mean, he is an absolute genius. You talk to him about peptides, he's up there in the top 2 or 3 guys in the world. And so I get a lot of my information from him, but also I have been using, as you know, Richard, therapeutic peptides before most people even knew what they were, before Ben probably knew what they were, right? I've been using ipamorelin since 2006, when they were literally like these crazy research chemicals that people didn't know what they were. But back to your point, we're in a world today where we are under siege from every angle, right? We know that our hormones and our endocrine systems are affected, but also so is our health now, from whatever is being engineered, whether it's a bioweapon, whether it's a natural virus, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Whatever your feeling is, you need to immunize yourself. And there are peptides that you can use to dramatically enhance immunity. Now, quick self-shameless plug, in about a month, and Richard will be involved in this, Nick and I are launching a peptides course, and it will be the best peptides course on earth. Most people who want to use peptides, who watch shows like you and I are doing, and they get all excited because, we talk about what they do. And you're right, dude, BPC and TB500 literally heal severe injuries in like 1/10 of the time. Yeah. They're basically golden age technology. And
I keep it in my fridge now, like all the time, because if I get injured, it's like I don't have to wait to order it. It's there. I just reconstitute it with the bacteriostatic water. Boom, the injection's in me within 10 minutes.
Dude, I literally have breaking protocol. I have not a grocery. I have a refrigerator right over here in the corner of my studio.
Let me guess, a little bar fridge, like a small one.
No, it's a big one. It's not like, a giant double door, but it's closed. And my dog is like literally guarding it. My pit is like right there. I wish I could take a picture of him right now because he's all curled up and stuff. But I have PPC 157, TB 500, and the one I'm going to talk about here in a second, TA1, which is Thymus and Alpha 1, in a giant, no, I wouldn't call it a jug, but a big enough, reusable deal, so that if and when somebody I know gets hurt, I can attend to them. But back to this stuff, most people listen to you and me and people like us, Ben Greenfield, and really smart people who talk about this, and then they go to buy it. We each rep these different people out here online that sell peptides, and then they're like, oh shit, the vials of can't come, they're not constituted. They don't explain about bacterial static water. They don't talk about reconstitution. They don't talk about this, that, and the other. And so everybody just is like flummoxed. They're like, what do I do?
Too much. Yeah.
Yeah, it's too much. So Nick and I have created this course, which literally is going to be the layman's guide on how to use peptides. It starts like, okay, you don't know anything, and that's why you're here, and here's where you do, right? So that's going to really help a lot of people, and you and I will be involved in that, talking about that coming. But to add or to discuss what we're talking about, immunity. So Thymus and Alpha 1, TA1, is a profound peptide that will enhance your body's, essentially immunity against external, agents, viruses, bugs, pathogens, even stuff in your stomach, right? You and I talk about metformin. We talk about guys, having weight issues. I mean, Richard, and Dr. J, who's really big on this, and his latest research in the last year, I just talked to him recently actually, is that people have pesticides in their fat and they cannot drop the weight, bro. Like cardio and growth hormone peptides or growth hormone itself and fasting and all that can't help them because they literally have these agents in the fat.
Does Dr. Anthony J have some new material? Because last time I had him on was a couple years ago after Estrogen.
Yeah, you got to get him back.
It was a great conversation. Like I still get emails from guys today, like thanking me for having him on and recommending the book. Like if you guys don't know who Dr. Anthony J is, search my channel. There's at least an hour and a half conversation I had with him, and he breaks down all the sources of environmental estrogens that are bombarding your body and throwing off your opportunity to function in a properly, like modern way, today, because you're getting hit by everything from every angle. It comes in food, it comes, in EMF, it comes in the water you drink, it comes in toiletries that you're putting on your skin and on your body and in your body and your mouth when you're brushing your teeth. Sunscreens, everything. Sorry to interrupt, but carry on.
No. I'm glad you said that because Dr. J is one of the smartest people on the earth. He's a close personal friend of you and me. I love Dr. J. By the way, every time I talk to him, he's like, dude, Richard Cooper, man, he really helped me.
Yeah, I know. I got an email from him like 6 or 7 months ago. He's like, dude, you're the real dude, man. I'm like, anytime you got some new stuff, man, let's hook up. And
you definitely need to reach out to him and bring him back on.
Okay.
But in our conversation, just to segue, he's like, look, man, he's like, people that live in the Midwest where the fertilization stuff is in the environment, atrazine, glyphosate, all of that shit. I mean, like they have to take massive precautions to remain lean. So again, we talk in the United States of the flyover country and how obesity is so rampant, but now I actually have even more compassion for a lot of those people because, dude, they're being deluged by this crap that's in the environment. And again, when it gets in your cells, it's really, really difficult to get rid of. But thymus and alpha-1, back to the peptide conversation, if you use micro dosages of it now, you will be immune. Now, when I say you will be immune, I also obviously I'm talking about from a holistic standpoint that you are doing the things that Richard and I recommend. You're living an insulin controlled lifestyle. You're hopefully optimizing your hormones. You're clearly exercising, you're lifting weights, and you're doing cardiovascular exercise. But if you do all of those things and you use a microdose of thymus and alpha year round, I mean, the chances of you getting quote unquote the C or whatever other shit they unleash on us is very slim.
What does it do exactly? What does thymus and alpha do? Because I haven't used that one yet.
So, I mean, it does a lot of things, right? But, when anything that enhances immunity, enhances your body's like cells to remain resistant without getting into deeply esoteric conversation, to remain resistant to anything that can invade you, right? Now, thymus and also alpha will dramatically upregulate the Akkermansia in the microbiome in the gut, right? So again, remember, almost all disease that people get starts in the gut, in the small intestine, in the microbiome from infections due to too much alcohol, too much sugar, which obviously all of that over time leads to body fat deposition. And then body fat deposition creates cellular degradation and ultimately inflammation. As you know, inflammation is what causes disease. Mm-hmm. So any disease that anyone gets, whether it's type 2 diabetes, heart disease, any of these things all are coming from the cellular degradation, which is leading to inflammation. So thymus and alpha is going to be another protectant that's going to upregulate your microbiome, and it's going to create a cellular force field against pathogens and invading microbes and stuff like that.
Got it. And where do people get it if they want to get their hands on it, and how would they use it? Like, is there information provided when you buy it off the website, like how to reconstitute it, what the dosage is, the frequency, or is it still under the guise of for research purposes only?
So I always laugh because this is why Nick and I created this course, right?
Hilarious, right?
Answering thousands of emails, attempting to help guys. So, I mean, again, I'll be the J. Campbell who's authentic and transparent. You can buy thymus and alpha-1 at numerous research chemical company manufacturers. I'm sure you still do, Ben Greenfield, I do, we all will push or affiliate for various guys and people out there. And if you're familiar with my brand and you go to my website, you'll see a box ad of the people that I promote. But at the end of the day, those people, meaning research chemical companies, cannot legally tell you A, how to use them, and B, you have to indemnify yourself that you're using this for research purposes with your laboratory animal or whomever, right? So
I'm just going to put this in the chat, the spelling. I just want to make sure I got this right. It's Thymosin.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay.
Thymus and alpha 1. It's
There's
known
a
as
spelling in the chat if you guys
TA-1.
want TA-1. So if you guys want to do your own research or look it up, again, this is like a research peptide, right?
Absolutely. But I will say, just to add to what you were saying, is that, some of these, because you mentioned something that's important. There are, and again, I could be wrong now, but at last count, there was like 6 therapeutic peptides that are FDA approved, right? And again, when that means they're FDA approved, that means a physician can write them, quote unquote, on label for various reasons that they're approved. And there are also many peptides that compound pharmacies, especially in North America, will sell to physicians that physicians can write a script for that are essentially, not indicated or, not specifically for a diagnosis. Again, a doctor has a legal right to write that prescription for you. So it's still, though, as you said, a very gray area. The largest compounding pharmacy selling peptides. And again, I know the owner of this company very well. I won't mention their names and stuff, but they did a lot of good for a lot of people in humanity for about 4 or 5 years. And then the FDA just said, oh no, you're not going to do this. You're selling too many of these and you're doing this like in a way that we don't find in a way that is right. And, again, I won't get into the politics of it, but at the end of the day, peptides are the future of medicine. And there's even, as you know, Richard, and we're not going to talk about it, we'll talk on another show about it, but there are even things called bioregulators that the Russians have patents on that are even as good, if not better, than peptides. I mean, like there's a bioregulator out there right now that can regenerate heart tissue. So, I mean, there's amazing, like I said, golden age stuff. But for now, if you want to be a guy who follows Jay Campbell or Richard Cooper, your peptides are your best option to get stuff that can dramatically improve your physique and obviously augment all sorts of other things.
All right, let's start moving on to the hair and skin stuff. But before we do, I got a super chat here from Justin. He's asking about, are there any cons to TA1?
So that's a good question, Jesse, I'm sorry. The reality of all peptides is like anything, and Richard and I have said this many times on our podcast, is that the difference between a pill and a poison is the dosage. Okay. So anything that you would use, from even aspirin, that you buy at a pharmacy, versus a peptide is going to be relative to how much you use. I mean, so is there a risk if you overdose on thymus and alpha 1? Unlikely that there's anything that's going to do something to you, but I always say that with the caveat that intelligent use determines whether or not you're ever going to have any side effects. But thymus and alpha 1 is heavily studied in mega dosages, and there are very, very few, if known, side effects.
Okay. Little jokes there from my buddy Dragos. Okay, let's talk about the other stuff that I put in the description here on DHT inhibition and why it's not the answer for hair loss and regrowth. So, what is DHT inhibition?
Okay, so I would definitely after this show's over, I'm on me and Richard in the StreamYard chat, so I'm not looking at the podcast. But I sent Richard 3 articles for everybody to read. If they want to go real deep on the science and all this, but about early in the year, we wrote, my copywriter and I, along with some help with Nick, we wrote essentially the world's foremost article on understanding hair loss, the root cause of hair loss, and of course, DHT inhibition, and why DHT inhibition is not the actual solution for hair loss, which 90% of the world believes it is, including the medical profession.
And that's with the pharma products like finasteride, like the pills that you pop that are supposed to lower your DHT. DHT is the hair follicle killer, basically, for people that have a predisposition to lose their hair from higher levels of DHT.
So what you just said is what you've been conditioned to believe. It's not even true.
Okay.
But yes, we've been told that
dihydrotestosterone.
Yes, but what you said is correct. In 99% of doctors would say what you just said.
Yeah.
But what we now know is that the root cause of all hair loss is blood flow restriction to the scalp. So regardless of whether you have a genetic predisposition, which Richard has and I have, right? That's why we don't have much hair, although I've rewrote all my hair, which we'll talk about.
Yeah, we'll show you pictures of Jay before, and yeah, I've got some before and afters of some stuff.
Well, dude, I was going to say that to you before we went on the show. Can you believe how long my hair is? I haven't had hair like this since I was 34, since I started my thinning.
No, it's great. We'll show the pictures in a minute.
Yeah, for sure. But so here's the thing for DHT inhibition. Okay. So just the article that Richard will link to is over 10,000 words. Okay. It's a really deep article. It's written for a basic 6th or 5th grade understanding, but it is deep. It has a lot of science. We go into why, what is what. But again, at the end of the day, blood flow restriction to the scalp is what causes hair loss in both men and women. Now, what can cause blood flow restriction to the scalp? Everything, pretty much, right? Like you could be exposed to toxic minerals or metals. You could be sitting in light, incandescent blue light too much. You could be, overhead. The white lights could be screwing with your hair. Obviously, there's a lot of people that do have a genetic predisposition. But again, there's millions of reasons. The primary reason that people lose hair is stress, okay, which causes oxidative, reaction or reductive oxidative species, which literally attacks your hairline, causes all sorts of cellular oxidation, your follicles shed, and eventually you get to a place where your hair just falls out. Now, again, some of us just lose hair due to our genetics. And it's, again, male pattern baldness, which is called androgenic alopecia, runs in your mom genetic line, right? So if your mom's dad had hair loss, the likelihood that you're going to have a shedding or, again, MPB is high. It's over 50%. That's in my family, right? I have 6 brothers and 3 sisters, and 4 of the boys have hair shedding issues or had hair shedding issues, and the other ones didn't. So again, it's a genetic thing, but you still can control for genetic hair loss if you read that article and you understand how to increase what is called angiogenesis in the scalp, which is the essentially enhancement of red blood cell or red blood cell flow to the scalp. So anyone can regrow their own natural hair. It's all about in that article. But using a DHT inhibitor, which again, as you already mentioned, is a pharmacological agent, dutasteride, finasteride, Propecia, there's other names, does not ultimately prevent hair loss. Now, it does attach to the receptors in the scalp, okay, which in theory, and in some men, it's obviously true, can stop the shedding. But here's the problem, Richard, and anyone who's ever used finasteride or even minoxidil or Rogaine knows this. As soon as you stop using them, your hair falls out because they're attached to those receptors. So stopping the use literally means that the inhibition at the receptor level ends. So now the follicles miniaturize and they fall out.
Mm. And there's another, side effect of these DHT inhibitors, because they lower your DHT levels, which apparently play a fairly strong role in sexual function. I mean, it's not just a strong form of testosterone, to like build muscle and become lean and sort of stuff like that. There was this chick that used to work for me a number of years ago, and she was telling me her fiance, I mean, you guys will like this story, was taking these pills and, to try to keep his hair. And I mean, it was kind of working, but then she also started to complain that his sexual function went in the toilet. And that's when she started hitting on me big time too. Right. So is that a side effect that affects all men? Is it some men? Like, how does that work?
That's the $1 million question.
Because I mean, like, what's the point in having hair if you're not, able to perform?
Right.
Right. Because I mean, you want to have hair to look good, I would imagine.
So we wrote an article literally last week. So this is, again, perfect timing. And no, Richard and I planned this 2 months ago. But we wrote an article last week, my copywriter and I, on the dangers of DHT and estrogen inhibition in both men and women. Okay. Now, I won't go into estrogen inhibition today, but this means for all of you guys who use testosterone or bodybuilders who use therapeutics at whatever.
We've already covered that in cast before.
Blocking your estrogen by using an AI is literally killing you. It's shortening your lifespan. That's not debatable anymore. The science is very conclusive on that. So if you're using an AI and you're watching the show right now, stop immediately or you are shortening your lifespan. I will definitely mention that all the bodybuilders who have died in the last 2 months, without mentioning names, I could guarantee you that if you did an autopsy and you looked at their vasculature, you would see microfissures in all of those vascular lines, which led to their heart attack / disease and why they died. And this is all because they were using SERMs and AIs. That's a whole nother conversation for another day, but I work with the world's leading expert on that, named Dr. Scott Howell. Okay. He is the world's leading androgen and epidemiologist. He can conclusively prove that if you're blocking your estrogen, you're shortening your lifespan. Now, in that same article, blocking dihydrotestosterone, which is DHT, is also damaging your cellular end caps or your telomeres, as you and I already talked about earlier in the show, that you use Epetolon for. So you're literally damaging the cellular life that you have in your DNA by doing all of these things. And again, without going into details, it's all in the article. All the science is in the article. So for men and women who are using, and by the way, Richard, a lot of women are using DHT inhibitors. It's really sad.
Are they really? Why?
Yeah, they suffer from hormonal hair loss. And of course, the docs write them scripts for that too.
Oh, so they get scripts for finasteride?
Oh, yeah.
Like, really?
Oh, yeah.
No
it's
kidding.
Crazy. Yeah, it's insane. But so here's the thing. If you're using these, because you asked the original question, do all men and women who use these suffer from sexual dysfunction? No. And that's what's so weird, is that there are some people that don't, but the great majority who are honest do. And there's actually, as you know, Richard, a syndrome now recognized by the medical industry called PFS, post-finasteride syndrome, that men and women suffer from using these, mostly men. It's mostly shown in men, but there are a lot of women that have this issue who become literally clinically depressed. And even after cessation of using these horrible toxic drugs, never recover. I've actually lost 2 close personal friends to suicide who used DHT inhibitors for a long time in their life and suffered, from PFS, were in forums, were in communities with other men, and they killed themselves. Okay. Now this goes back 10 years when it was a lot less known, and I knew nothing about DHT inhibition causing this issue, but now we know. And so the bottom line is if you are a man or a woman, and I'm sure you have a lot of women that watch your show, bro.
Not as many as you think.
Yeah, and you're using DHT inhibitors, stop immediately. Now we're going to talk on how you can withdraw. And again, Richard's going to link an article that we've already written with one of the world's top doctors on how to
It's
withdraw.
on your website, on your blog, right? Because I didn't dig them up from the email. So if you guys go to, it's jcampbell.com.
It's actually somebody cyber squatting on mine. It's JAY middle initial C. So jccampbell.com.
Okay, yeah. So it's on his blog, and it's the most recent ones. I'm gonna dig them up through the email, and I'll put them in the description after the show.
Yeah. So Ben, just so you know, Ben Greenfield wanted to launch these articles from his site because he's obviously got a lot more viewers and a lot more people visiting his site than mine. So he launched part 1 and part 2 of this article in June. And as far as I know, they were 2 of the most read articles ever in the history of his site, right? So then we took the full article and we put it on my site, but you guys can Google this and it'll come up, with attribution to Ben. And as you just said too, Nick and I did a podcast with Ben talking about this back in June, and it was, it's a firestorm. Now, a lot of doctors in the hair loss world, even hair transplant surgeons, are new to this information. Okay. And this is, like I said, this is a disruptive methodology and theory, but it's backed by science, and it will be borne out by the evidence and proven that this is correct. So what we came to the conclusion in the article of Richard is that DHT inhibition is at best a secondary downstream effect of hair loss prevention, but it almost does nothing in hair regrowth. And obviously any person who is desiring to regrow their natural hair has to use agents that will do that. Again, increasing red blood flow to the scalp. And that's what we'll talk about next.
All right. I've got, I don't know. Can I show them the pictures here, Jay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Here, I sent you a picture a few weeks ago because I had just run out of the stuff that you had sent me, and I was like, let me just see what it looks like. You don't notice any differences. You're spraying some stuff on your face or your hair like day by day, but I did do a before picture and then an after. I'll show you mine first, and mine isn't as profound as what Jay's was. I'll show you Jay's in a second, but that's what I had sent out. I don't know. That was like a month ago or a few weeks. Sorry, that was October 20th. So that was about 3 or 4 weeks ago. So this is the before shot of my scalp, and this is the after shot. It's more hair for sure. And the one thing, I wasn't expecting much to begin with, because I'm like, whatever, this stuff. Okay, fine. Send it over, Jay. Let me try it out. But after I looked at the after picture and I sent it over to you, I was like, it looks like this stuff works. And I know that it worked a lot better on you than it did on me. The other thing too is, and I'll just be honest with you, you guys know that I'm on therapeutic testosterone, but I've also used primobolan, during the summertime as well, for about 6 to 8 weeks on top of my therapeutic testosterone, which increases DHT
Right.
in your serum blood levels, which is great for building muscle and losing fat, and they stack really well together. I'm a fan of it. I get good results from it.
Yep.
Vigorous Steve. I don't know if you know Steve.
Sounds familiar, maybe,
He
probably.
he's this Dutch guy that lives in Thailand. I did a cast with him about a month or two ago. He's got great information on his YouTube channel.
Wait, what's his last name?
I don't know what his last name is, but his YouTube channel is Vigorous Steve.
Huh. You need to connect me with him. Sounds awesome.
Yeah, yeah. And he loves stacking, testosterone with primobolan. Like that's his go-to. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna give this a try. The side effect is if you're predisposed to losing hair due to androgenic alopecia, then it's just going to accelerate it. I'm like, whatever, I don't care. I just shave my head. Who cares? But even with primobolan, I still ended up with, like a little more density than what I had, before, which is all fine and dandy. The other thing I noticed too, I don't know if you can tell by the pigment, because I was looking at the comments and somebody noticed it over here too, and they said something along of skin looks healthier.
That's exactly
And he's right. The skin
That's
tone
exactly
here
right.
is way like more, I don't know how to define it, but it just looks healthier
Yeah.
than it did before. And that's as a byproduct of the hair product plus the skin product. I mean, we'll talk about the skin peptides as well, but those are my results. Here's Jay's. Let me try to go.
So I think it's on the product page now. Yeah, just go to Oxana.
Okay, yeah, because you guys have like eyelash stuff and
Yeah, it's the left one right there. Top left.
this
there,
one
yeah.
here. Yeah.
Yep. You can scroll down. And
have
by the
your
way, these
pictures
pictures are old too now. So I mean, like my regrowth is even more pronounced. It's pretty crazy. I think you want to buy it. Where is it? Where did they take it?
There it
you
is.
go. Right there.
So that was you
That was
before you
Vantis.
started to grow your hair back.
That
Like you
was
actually started
Vantis.
to lose your hair.
Yep.
Then you shaved your head. Then
Yep.
you got
and then
the
that's Vantis. That's Vantis right there.
that's Vantis. Okay, so that's after you did the scalp micropigmentation.
That's literally, dude. That's so as you remember, my hair was like patchy when you and I met each other in 2019. Remember, I just had like patches of hair, and I even told
Do you have a before and after picture of like Vantis?
I do. So I would just tell you, just like all you do is go on my channel and search my podcast. I mean, you'll see my hair, the way it was. And then, the guys at Vantis were like, bro, just come down here. Cause I literally was like you. I was like, fuck this. I'm going to just go chrome
Here
dome.
it is. Here it is. I found it.
Yeah,
I
you'll
found it.
see.
So let's show your scalp before you actually got the micropigmentation, because that's like the head tattoo thing.
Totally.
Here we go. So add to stream, because this will give you a clearer picture of what his
There
head
you
looked
go.
like before he got it tattooed.
That's exactly right.
Oh, crying out loud. There we go. So that's before here, right?
That's perfect. Yep.
Yeah.
That's
So
literally it right there. So you can see when my hair would grow back, I'd have patches.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
That's exactly right. So that's where I was going to go. I was just going to stay with Vantis and be like, cool.
Just keep your head
as
shaved.
The story is a listener was listening to Ben Greenfield's podcast. He was talking to Ian Mitchell, the guy who's a big C60 guy. And he's like, hey, man, C60 works to regrow hair. All you have to do is put it in your hair.
And that's
And
the
we
peptide
already
that you're
knew.
talking about.
Carbon 60.
Carbon 60 is like the main ingredient in it, right?
It's along with the GHK, which is the copper peptide. But yeah, so this guy calls us up and he's like, dude, check my hair out. I've been using carbon 60 and GHK together. He was using a script version of GHKCU. And when he sent the pictures to me and Nick, we were like, that's bullshit. There's no way.
Yeah.
And, so then Nick's like, all right, well, being the guinea pig that he was, I'll start testing it. And then he sent it to me. And the rest is history. I mean, it's like, holy shit. And as you know, when we launched this product in 2020 and June 5th, we sold out completely in the first month. And then when we got it back, which was the secondary version, because the first version was MCT oil carbon 60. Now, everybody who follows us knows the story, and it was too thick. It still worked great, but it was MCT oil is constitutionally too thick, and it would make your hair too greasy. So version 2 was what it is now, and we're improving this, by the way, coming, but it's grapeseed oil extract. So you know that. It's a very thin mist of an oil. Again, it's oil-based in the carbon 60, and then that's serum B. Serum A is copper peptide, which is like a blue mist in a water-based aqueous.
Why does it have to be in two separate bottles? Like
because right now it's a good question. when we got our patent, it's a provisional patent and we're working on the permanent patent, we had to cover multiple delivery systems. And in order to get it to a place where we could actually get it into people's hands so we could help them right away, the only way we could do it was to have two versions, the aqueous, which is the copper peptide GHKCU, and that's serum A, and then serum B, which is carbon 60, is an oil-based, nanomolecule. And the only way you can actually put that in a solution is oil. Now, version 3, which is coming from us next year, probably pretty soon, sooner rather than later, will be a one-phase product, and it'll be liposomal. So a liposomal product, you can put an oil-based solution inside an aqueous-based solution, and they will stay together and they will not separate. So that's just a formulation thing, and that's coming. But, as you know, once we launched in same time, it's crazy. I'm having flashbacks, but we launched on Black Friday version 2 last year, and we sold out in 2 days. And every single bottle that we shipped, which were really high-end bottles, by the way, had gold tips and everything, broke. Because the peptides expanded in the neck of the bottle at our manufacturer, not our manufacturer, but our 3PL, our logistics company in Kansas City. Because at the end of November, early December last year, they had a 20-degree below zero cold snap come through. And so they're all sitting there at the facility to go out. We had this huge Black Friday sale, and they broke. And for 2 months, all I got was emails from people saying, "Hey, bro, I'm going to need a refill."
Got a question here from Santiago. He's asking, so what peptide might be used instead of finasteride? Do you mix microneedling? So the peptide is right there. And here, I'll drop it in the live chat, but it's also in the description. So if you guys go to the description of the video, there's a link to a Sear Custom. And Jay was kind enough to give me a 15% coupon code. So use Rich15 on the checkout if you want to grab some of this stuff. What about microneedling? Like, what's your position on that?
So that's an amazing question. So my official Jay Campbell and Richard Cooper position is use microneedling. But from a Jay Campbell co-founder, of a Sear Custom, I can't go on my website and say that because it's a quote unquote invasive procedure. And then we would have to be considered, a clinical product by the FDA. So microneedling and what's the other thing that you do that people always talk about?
Derma rolling.
Rolling. So microneedling and derma rolling is a profound enhancement to our product. Now, one other thing, and I want to go deep on this. How long we got? We still got 15 minutes, right?
Yeah, I can probably go for about another 25 or so.
Okay, awesome. So the other thing that's important to really dramatic, because now we're talking about, hair regrowth. Okay. We already know that we don't want to use DHT inhibitors to suppress dihydrotestosterone. And let me take a step back because we didn't cover this, and this is important. You'd never want to block any kind of God-made biological process. Estrogen, dihydrotestosterone, only bad things come about when you're suppressing, again, natural biological systems. What you already said it, but I'll go deeper. And again, this is in the article. When you suppress dihydrotestosterone, you limit synaptic, dendritic, serotonergic, basically every brain pathway that's necessary for cognition and mood are being hammered. So, and this is, again, it's in the article. And again, I'm trying not to scare you guys. It's not my intention, but you are literally creating amyloid plaque buildup by suppressing dihydrotestosterone, which, as you guys know, is what leads to neurodegenerative disorder, Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, Lou Gehrig's. All of these things are horrific if you're doing this. So again, stop using the DHT inhibitors, start focusing on how do I improve blood flow to my scalp. So with our product, which again is called Oxanogrow, you can derma roll, microneedle. You can even just aggressively massage your hair and your scalp every day. Now, one thing that's important.
What would be the sequence with microneedling or derma rolling when applying a product like this to your scalp? Is it before, then you wait, then you apply? Is it you apply, then you do the rolling or the microneedling? Like, what's the sequence for that offline?
There's no real right answer. You could do both. You could definitely microneedle, put on serum A, which is water-based, and then massage that in, and then put on, wait 3 minutes or whatever for the water to absorb into the skin. It really also depends on the level of the microneedling and derma rolling you're doing. Like if you do like a 1 mil or 1.5 mil. Exactly. If you're tearing the skin fibers of the scalp, of the dermis of the scalp, and you're, causing blood, then, you're probably going to want to put in agent A and agent B, within the first 90 seconds to 2 minutes of doing that. But if you're going slower, and a lot of people do this really, really slow, I would put in the water base first, because the water base is going to absorb faster, and then, which is serum A, and then put in serum B, which is the oil base after. A lot of guys, and obviously this is not you, but if you can look at my hair right now, you can see that I have it looks like I have product in my hair. Okay. This is serum B. So serum B, when you put it in, a lot of guys comment on this. Chris Gethin talks about this all the time. He uses it as a product. He's like, dude, the best part about Oxano is I don't have to use bullshit products in my hair to push up my hair anymore. I just use serum B, and it's like this thin, texturized product, and it keeps your hair standing up if that's what you want to do. So that's one of the other advantages. But one thing that, kind of breaking on your show, and there's a little bit about this from some people who have experimented with this, you can also use red light. Okay, because red light therapy.
Somebody was asking about red light therapy.
So red light therapy increases angiogenesis, which again is the increase of red blood cells, red blood flow to the scalp. Right? We remember.
What's the spectrum of red light that you want to use again? I know the Juve lights kind of have it built in. Is it just by default just get a Juve light? Juve is JOOV, by the way.
Dude, so the owners of Juve are good personal friends of mine. So yes, but in truth, and this is Scott, by the way, the owner of Juve. I mean, they'll tell you that it doesn't matter. There's people out there now saying that, flicker rate is everything with red light. That's BS. I mean, the smart people that create red light devices and products, as long as it's a good, not some Alibaba that you paid $9.99 for, most red light devices are going to work. But yes, Juve is standard. It's a gold standard. I have a Juve. I have a full body Juve in my house. I even have the portable one. But that's what I would do. Ben, I think now works for the company, and correct me if I'm wrong. And Ben, don't get mad at me if I'm wrong. I think they're BioLite, I think is what he uses. And they got the portables. So you can literally put it on, give yourself 3 minutes, 4 minutes like this, and do that every single day. And So here's where I am on whether or not you're going to get results. 80% of people who have active hair follicles get results. I would classify you as only having some active follicles. You clearly have pieces where you don't have active follicles. And even in the places where you didn't have many, it regrew, right? Now, if you want to...
It's definitely better, because I was going to ask you, it would be definitely better to start using this early phase hair loss than I would be late phase, whatever, I started noticing my hair loss in my early to mid 20s. So had I had a product like this, I use Minoxidil, that thing didn't do anything. That was
worthless.
Garbage.
They're all worthless.
Yeah.
They're scams. They're total scams. Again,
but this sort of stuff you can put in your scalp, early stage. So if you've got hair still, what do? You spray it on your hand and you kind of massage it through into your scalp, or
that's the importance is a lot of guys and women. Again, this works amazing for women that have hormonal
you got
hair
pictures here on the site of a woman's head as well too, over here before and after, and this dude over here clearly got some good results.
Danny Vega's a big influencer in Florida. He's had, you should see what his hair looks like now. That was after 1 month. But anyway, so here's the truth to your question. If you have longer hair and you're in the initial stages of thinning, you definitely can do two things. In about 2 weeks, all Oxano products are going to have a dropper. So right now they're sprays, right? But you'll have a dropper. So if you are a woman and you just want to hit in the ends or something like that, you just drop it in your hand, go like this, and boom, right? Rub it in, massage it in. But you hit on it. It's a scalp health product. Okay, so it's not. And Richard, here's more of the scam. And you remember, because you and I are similar, almost the same age. In the old days, they had the Bosley Hair Institute, and they had freaking mousse, right? They had a mousse product that they would have people put in their hair. That doesn't do jack shit. If you do not get a product that technically will help, and obviously none of those did, but if you have a real product that improves red blood cell flow to your scalp, you have to get it into the scalp. It can't go into the ends of the hair. The follicles will absolutely not help improve the health of your scalp. So the only way you're going to get regrowth is actually to improve the soil. Think of the scalp, the dermis of your scalp is the soil. So you now have to churn up the soil and then get these nutrients that increase, again, angiogenesis, red blood cell formation, collagen synthesis, all these things, so that you will improve the health of your natural skin, of your the top of your scalp, so that you'll regrow the hair. And again, anyone can regrow their hair provided that they reduce inflammation.
Dude,
Now,
even if I did, I mean, like pretty much anybody can do it because I didn't.
well, dude,
I
I would be willing to bet, and I know you're not going to because you look good without hair. But if you did like a serious 1-year deal next year when version 3 comes, because version
I'll tell you
3
what, keep sending me the product and I'll keep using it and I'll stay off the Prima Ballin during that time. And,
well,
and
I mean,
see what
like,
happens.
if we did a test with you, I'm pretty sure that you could regrow your hair to a level where you'd be like, wow.
All right. Well, I'll tell you this. I mean, like right now, like I can feel a lot more follicles on my head. Like my girlfriend sometimes just sits there, just like kind of like rubbing my head, and she's like, "It feels like you got a little more hair up there now, right?" It's like, it's not obvious, you know, to most people, but I mean, like that small change it's somewhat different for a guy like me to notice, but for guys like you that had more to begin with, or other guys that might have a lot more than you had to begin with, it seems like it works. So, I mean, I can only co-sign it from that perspective. I mean, you guys know that I only talk about stuff that I've got personal experience with. I don't fluff
well, look,
you guys
there are
with
some
bullshit.
people, there are definitely some people that it will not work for. And, you know, they will send me an email or send the company an email and say, hey, man, I gave it my best shot. It didn't work. And again, I'm going to say this, and this is where it's important. If you are a metabolic disaster, if you're obese, if you have any comorbidities, if you're diabetic, COPD, you know, you're a smoker, you drink too much alcohol, any of these things, you have heavy levels of systemic inflammation. Our products imitate or mimic the cellular health of you as the end user. So if you are like Richard or me and you have low body fat and you give a shit about your health, you're going to get better results than somebody who doesn't. So this is not an easy button magic pill potion that is going to regrow your hair. If you're fat and you have massive levels of inflammation, forget it. Don't buy our product. It won't work.
I'll still say this though, man. Like I'm looking at this picture over here. Like you've got slightly more than what I had a few years ago here. Okay.
Exactly.
So, I mean, you know, check it out. Anyway, we've only got so much time, and I want to talk about the skin stuff because you've got another peptide product that also deals with skincare. I've also had that since the get-go when you sent me the other stuff, and you know, we saw the before and after picture, you know, with my scalp, and it has improved the condition of my, do I still have the picture up here? I don't know if you guys can see it, but I got this sun damage spot here. Wait, where did it go?
That's one of the things that dramatically fixes the sun damage. And
I've got this sun damage spot right, I don't know if you guys can see my cursor, but right here, it's like a darker red. It's almost like brown, and it does go quite a bit darker in the summertime. That thing right there, it's gone over here in the second picture.
Exactly.
Right? Like that peptide pulled it out. So what is the skincare peptide, and how is that different from the hair peptide? Or is it the same thing?
It's essentially the same thing, but different formulations. But so copper peptide GHKCU is, as Nick, you know, to credit Nick, it's the sham wow of peptides. Okay.
So this is the skin product here. It's also in 2 bottles too.
Right there, exactly.
Yeah.
It's
and I've been using this as well.
So on the left is, if you go back up and just real quick, by the way, look at that before and after of that guy. If you scroll down and look at that guy's before and after. So that was a serious sunburn 36 hours later. Look at that.
Okay.
That's insane. Right. But again, there's thousands, and I'm not exaggerating, thousands of studies, you know, in PubMed, in the clinical literature about copper peptide, GHKCU, and its efficacy. That's why, again, Nick calls it the sham wow of peptides, in its ability to regenerate the cells of the dermis. So whether you have scars, you have fine lines and wrinkles. I mean, obviously, women who use these products, they throw away their other products. I mean, it's that they're that profound. Okay. And if you're a dude, these products are amazing. I mean, as you found out, Richard, because if you fight, if you're MMA, you're full contact, you use a gi, you train, you spar, they will seal the nicks, cuts, and abrasions from sparring in a matter of a day. Like I know tons. I mean, we have tons of pros.
Wasn't that the origin of it? I think you said at one point that the MMA crowd found this first because they were using it to fix their messed up faces.
So Nick formulated it because he is a jiu-jitsu fighter, and his face was getting mangled, and so he was like, you know, his background was biochemistry, and you know, he's been a biochemical engineer. He worked in like big pharma himself and audited for him and all that. And he's like, you know what? He started looking around. It was out there, and he's like, I can make something myself. You know, when he started seeing that almost all the formulations on the market again are big pharma, corticosteroids, just bullshit. And again, I don't want I don't want to get into like a a desecration of skincare products, but
I feel like we
most
could
stuff,
talk on this stuff
bro,
for 4 hours,
stuff,
especially if we had Nick on.
dude, most stuff, if people knew what they were putting on their skin, it's insane. I mean,
Well,
it's
if you
definitely
even
making it
read
worse.
Dr. Anthony J's stuff on estrogeneration, almost all
Oh,
toiletries have
bro.
endocrine disruptors that are like, they're not just bad for your skin, but they're bad for you, period. Right? Because your skin's your largest organ. It
Dude.
draws it in.
So being a founder now for 2 years in this industry and seeing what I've seen and looking at formulations and getting to be, we're now in an FDA approved facility at a GMP certified, plant to manufacture our products and stuff. I mean, I've seen what goes into these things, and I swear to you guys and gals that are watching this, if you buy stuff from Rodan and Fields, Lemur, or Estee Lauder, the highest, most expensive products on the market for skin and face, if I told you, and I won't, what was going into those products, you would not be buying them. That you are literally being sold on color and design and impulse, creativity, which they're masters of, but there's nothing in there. So our product, to your original question, is a 3% grade of copper peptide GHKCU, which is stronger than anything in the marketplace on the world. There are tons of copper peptide products that you can buy on Amazon, and they're all shit. I'm just going to straight up shit over all of them. None of them have the clinical grade. And there's also a huge difference in stuff that you buy from China versus what you get in the United States. We are buying.
Can women use this stuff too, by the way?
I'm sorry?
Can women use this stuff too, by the way?
Oh yeah, it's designed for men and women, but yeah, okay. Women use this and go crazy. But again, our product, and you guys can read all this on the website, we're the second biggest now buyer, okay, of GHKCU in, industrial quantities of the most pure form that you can get on planet Earth. And again, it's all sourced in the USA. It's not coming from China. It's not sitting in a shipping container in the desert. This is real clinical grade GHKCU at a formulation that still keeps it as a supplement. But when you put it on your face, again, it massively enhances cellular regenesis. Okay. It increases.
I'm going to drop the link of the stuff that Jay's talking about.
It increases red blood cell formation, collagen formation. But, if you have fine lines and wrinkles up here, it, removes them, smooths them, as Richard says. If you have scars, if you have
sun damage, acne, it definitely worked on my sun damage for sure.
Dude, if you have acne, keratinosis, if you have what is called pigmentogenesis, any of those things that are there, if you use these products regularly, it will improve you. Now, I will also tell you that next year, it's going to probably be sometime in mid to end of second quarter. We're going to release 3 new products. Okay. All of them will be game changers.
You got anything that'll make my beard its normal color again?
Dude, the beard product that's coming out from us next year will be the best beard product on planet Earth without question. And it'll be water-based. It's not going to be a beard oil. It's going to be water-based. We're going to have a conditioner for guys like me who don't even use the product anymore because the hairs regrow. Mm. We didn't say that. Does this cause permanent regrowth? Yes, provided that you don't go to shit physically, right? You don't start eating Doritos and drinking 12 packs every night, right? But yes, this is permanent regrowth. I have not used my product in probably 2 months. So this is
so you don't use minoxidil, you don't use dutasteride, none of that shit.
None of it. Okay. Obviously, I'm on therapeutic testosterone, metformin, and desiccated thyroid, as everybody knows. But no, I don't use any of those, and I've never used those because I've always known they were crap. But this is permanent. We're going to have a conditioner coming for people that have permanent regrowth, and they want something that would be technically a maintenance product to enhance the follicle strength. Now, something that you said that I never addressed that's important. Ben Greenfield, if you follow him, has been using the hair product for the last 6 months. And if you guys look at his hair, he's like become Samson. Mm-hmm. And he credits all of it to this. Now, one of the things it does is it strengthens the follicle. So if it's going to improve the scalp health, strengthen the follicle, well, what also will it do by natural? It's going to darken the root of your natural color. So many people, myself included, I do not darken my hair. I do not.
You don't dye your hair or anything? There's no hair dye there?
This is salt and pepper, right? But this is from Oxano because I even do it like this when I put it in. Now, again, it's been a while. I usually shave my head, but you can see the gray of my hair versus the Oxano. So it literally darkens the root of your hair. Now, not everybody gets this phenomenon, but about 60 to 65% of people have darkening of the root. Almost all women that use the product report that.
Okay. Anything else we should cover? I got another 10, 12 minutes or so. I can wrap
We
on
can
if you
talk
want
about
to cover.
stacks, man. We can definitely talk about peptide stacks, I think. And,
Yeah.
so how would you use these products though for people? Let's say you're an aging man or woman and you're starting to get shedding. You're starting, by the way, a lot of women count their hairs in the bath, in the shower that fall out. They keep the hair loss diaries. It's insane.
I used to count mine on my motorcycle helmet when I took it off. I first noticed it when I was like 21 or so. I'd take off my motorcycle helmet, I'd be like, huh, there's like a dozen hairs in there, man. What's going on? Because I had long hair. Like I had it all like back, and I'd have to put the helmet on like this.
That'd be awesome if you have a picture you could pull up right now what you used to look like and stuff like that. I had a pretty much mane of hair too. I had
let me see if I can find one while you're kind of chopping.
I had like a part over on top of my scalp. But look, you don't. This product is not a more is better product. If you start using this product and you are starting shedding, literally once a day, 2 squirts of each A and B. The product will last 90 days. Absolutely. Unless, and again, this is most people, they use too much. So, because they see the price of it and they're like, dude, wow, you're charging me too, and we just increased the prices, as you know, because our raw materials are going way up, with the supply chain bullshit. But up to 3 months, it lasts. It's $100 a month and it fucking works. It's not minoxidil. It's not bullshit that people spend $25 to $50 on and say, you know what, it doesn't work, but it doesn't cost that much. I have so many of those people, right? So if you want a product that works, our product
there you go,
works.
buddy.
Oh, dude, that's awesome.
There's your Rich with hair pick.
That's awesome. That was how my hair was. It was like a squirrel. It was like a pullover.
Yeah.
That's awesome, dude.
That was actually when I had it shorter too.
Put the product on once a day. Don't over apply it. Don't spray it 4 or 5 times if you have aggressive hair loss. Massage it into your scalp. If you want to get bold and you want to, do microneedling or derma rolling, be my guest. We are coming out, Rich, in about 2 weeks with a red light comb. So this red light comb will be vibration, red light, and blue light. And yes, there are reasons for blue light, which I don't want to talk about here today, but you can read about it on the website. But that comb will be able to be used as you're putting it into your scalp. You'll literally be going like this with the red light comb.
You guys are going all in on this, eh?
Product. I'm sorry?
You guys are going all in on this, eh?
Yeah. No, I mean,
listen,
it definitely.
I get a lot of dudes that are obsessed with hair loss. I have people that message me. They're like, dude, you got to get a hair transplant and go to Turkey and da-da-da. It's like, look, you do what you want with your head, bro.
Well, so that's actually a good point. If you are a guy that has had a hair transplant, anyone who's ever had that, and again, do what you want, where the grafts occur is where the hair follicles fail. And anyone who's had multiple ones will tell you this. A lot of those guys are using our product to regrow the hair or the follicles at the graft centers or the graft origin. Mm-hmm. So if you're one of these people and you've already had a hair transplant and you're watching this, on the rerun or live right now, you absolutely should be using the product because it will definitely improve the strength at the graft. Almost every hair transplant, that's where the failure points occur, where you have the graft. And so a lot of guys, and again, I get all these emails, tons of guys are like, dude, I've never found any product until yours that actually is regrowing the hair where they surgically implanted the hair.
What about, here, I got a comment here from Chris. He says, using Neoxin on your hair, former military, where everyone goes bald. What is that?
So Nioxin is worthless. I mean, I hate to say that.
Is that like, what is that, like minoxidil, like that hair shampoo?
No, it's not really minoxidil, but it's just a product. I mean, you already said it, dude. Like all of these products that people are putting on their scalp have so many harsh chemical agents that even if the root, whatever product that's in there would do something from a nourishing of the scalp standpoint, it's not going to equate or overcome all of the goddamn harmful particulates.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Dude, you shouldn't even wash your hair but once or twice a week if you're a man. Okay. And I mean that. There's, like you said, dude, the chemicals in the back of the freaking shampoos are horrible. They're horrible. Use a tea tree oil shampoo or an argan oil shampoo. Okay. And no, don't ask me if we're going to do shampoos, because if we do a shampoo, we have to get involved in the FDA, and I don't even want to do any of that bullshit. But maybe at some point, but you don't need anything but oil, argan oil or tea tree oil once or twice a week. And then putting in our product, if you have, aggressive loss, to regrow your scalp. Now, again, you got to live clean. You got to reduce topical and systemic inflammation. You know, if Richard, if you're doing your lifestyle and my lifestyle and you use this product, the chances that you don't get regrowth are slim. Now, I know there are always
Dude, I even got regrowth on Prima Bolin, so it worked on me.
Exactly. But I mean, there are some men, very few women, but there are some men that will just say, hey, dude, I gave it 6 months.
Yeah.
I couldn't get any regrowth, you know, and then, you know, I'm like, send me a picture of your hair. And then I see how aggressive their male pattern baldness is. And, you know, they've got the splotches and I'm like, are you massaging it in? And then, you know, you get back and they're like, well, you know, sometimes I don't use it. So most people it will work, but there's always going to be people it doesn't work for.
Yeah. You know, for guys like me, you're not going to get a man of hair, I don't think. But yeah, I'll try, you know, I'll keep using the versions that you sent me and I'll use the third version when that comes out. We'll see if it does anything. You know, you got my pledge to keep using it daily. And I don't know, maybe we'll see in like 6 or 8 months. Maybe I'll stop shaving my head or clipping it down.
Or just do like a 90-day trial with the new version.
Something, man. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, I'll just keep growing it out.
Awesome.
I got to start to wrap up because I got to hit the road. But all the links for the hair and skin products that Jay was talking about are in the description. They're also in the live chat, which should, I think it replays during playbacks if you're not watching this live. The articles that he mentions are on his blog. As he mentioned, I'm going to dig them up through the email probably in a few hours, and I'll put those in the description as well for you guys that want to read up on it. And you've got that course coming out on peptides next month, you said?
Yep, probably next month. Yep.
I would definitely encourage you guys to check that out. I mean, I'll do a collab with you then because it'll be a interesting discussion because I've been using peptides for at least a couple of years now and I've got a lot of benefit. The problem that I have with them is like, okay, now I get this bottle and it's like, I don't know how much water to put into it. And it's like, okay, well, you know, what's the protocol for this? And then I got to reach out to Nick and he's like, okay, well, the Russian protocol is this and that. And it's like, it's confusing. Like even for me, and I pretty much know what I'm doing, like it's still confusing. So
dude,
it'll
even
certainly
for
help
us,
guys.
it's confusing. I mean, unless you're doing it every day. And that's the whole point of the course is, and by the way, and you'll be involved in this too, you know, we're going to have a group, right? If you take the course that you'll be involved in, and it'll be it'll be a Richard Cooper entrepreneur in cars type group where, you know, all of us will be collaborating with each other to help each other to grow. So everybody knows how to use these and we can like, you know, fix a serious, you know, misunderstanding or just a lack of awareness on how to do them. But yeah, that's coming too.
Yeah. So that's all for the injectable stuff. That'll be next month. The skin and hair stuff is just creams and sprays. So that's super easy. You guys have the links there if you want to try it out. Jay, it's been a pleasure. Thank you again. And we will catch up in the very near future because you got that course coming out on peptides. So we'll chop it up on that idea too, brother.
Yeah, very soon, man. Appreciate you always, brother. Love you. And for all of you guys, man, happy holidays to you and yours. And hopefully you guys reach out and try to get a hookup with Rich through Sear. Remember his coupon code is Rich15. Take 15% off.
Yeah, use that, guys, if you're gonna check out. All right, we'll see you guys soon. Peace out.